Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Jay Saying Stuff during lockdown. Yes, the lockdown does persist, even though today is actually the first day that the kids have gone back to school, so it is easing up. But all of that aside, I think 9 episodes in, it's time for me to reveal the real me and kind of talk a little bit about something that I've wanted to talk about, but kind of start putting pardon my non-vegan turn of phrase, but starting to put some flesh on the bones of this idea. So here goes, really. I mean, the question I want to ask everybody, asking you specifically, is have you had enough? Have you had enough of Brexit? Have you had enough coronavirus? Have you had enough identity politics, corruption, corrosion, commerciality, waste, volatility in the market, basically everything all around us at the moment just feels like everything is up in the air, nothing is as it seems, and I just feel like I personally have had enough, and so many people that I'm talking to currently have also felt like and are feeling like they've had enough. So my follow-up question is, would you rather have family time, commercial independence, community, social space, adventure, purpose? I mean, people say these words, but oftentimes people would rather relax in the convenience that this mainstream society offers. And those 6 ideas: family time, commercial independence, community, social space, adventure, and purpose, that I've just mentioned, those things don't come cheap, but they are a real nod towards an idea of freedom. Well, for me, how we go about getting to that place is we start looking at things through a different lens. Now, I know that there are places, not only in the world at large, but even in Europe, for people who want to toe dip, where you can buy large amounts of land, like 100, 200 hectares, acres even, plus. And you can buy this for 50 to 80,000 euros here in Europe, and further afield in other places you can get that kind of land mass for under 30, 40,000. So I mean, that's a lot of money, sure, but when you consider how much does your car cost, how much does it cost to insure it, how much does rent cost, how much does direct debits cost, how much does a childminder cost, all of these things that we kind of weigh up in life and look at as well. These things are essential. Are they? Are they? Are they as essential as being able to learn the true tenets of freedom? Are they more expensive than buying that plot of land and figuring stuff out bit by bit? Again, as I said, I know that's not for everybody, but that's why I asked the question, have you had enough? Would you rather? Because for me, I would. Because once you get to that kind of place, once you snap out of this mainstream miasma, that's when we can get to a place where we're creating stuff like sovereignty, first and foremost. And that sovereignty relates to everything from soil sovereignty, seed sovereignty, social sovereignty. But it also means that we can go back to an idea of creating a knowledge commons, that we can think up ideas and we can have them to share, not have them to create the intellectual property model that we then charge people to know what we know. Everybody should know everything, and then we can all be able to help and intertwine with each other. We can create best eco practices. We can create new rubrics of educational facilities. So, I mean, that for me is the vision. We live in a world where currently the general consensus of security is wrapped in a weaponized state protection and commercial dependence. Now, we've incrementally devolved as sovereign people with knowledge of how to sustain our own food, sustaining our own lives, our own water, our own shelter, our own energy. It's getting to the point now where people will no longer even need to encounter even any friction or even interaction when making purchases. Life has become that much about convenience. Now, again, I know that everybody is addicted to this convenience model. It's been part of our lives for the last 30, 40 years, or since the end of the Second World War, this era of hyper industrialization has been about driving business confidence, economic growth, and all of it through the continued evolution of convenience. But what sits on the other side of that balance of convenience is obviously, like, you know, our sovereignty. It's obviously our who we are as human beings. In essence, as humans, because of that almost Faustian exchange, an exchange that we've kind of, as I said, we've sleepwalked into, we've in essence been asset stripped as humans. We no longer have all of the faculties that made us citizens. We are now stripped back to our economic value, and we are just consumers. So, I mean, for me, year on year, as we trade our independence for, like, you know, more and more mass convenience, I think, yeah, a quote that I wrote for myself was, we have diversity of commodities within an imperial monoculture, which is not diversity. It won't matter that the flower petals are different colors if all the same bulbs are what are in the ground. So for me, this is a bit of a shake-up. Like, I know that I've kind of been playing like nicey-nicey for the last couple of weeks, and I have been, because this has also largely been about like maintaining sanity for me. But similar to, for anybody who's watched WandaVision or knows that, like, you know, I'm snapping out of, like, you know, my produced TV reality and snapping back into the reality of like what this is. Like, you know, this is a game being spun all around us. You know, as we are here, like, as I found out, and I've posted in my channel, that in Finland they actually created an open source COVID vaccine last year, but nobody wanted that because it wasn't like pinned to a profit model. Nobody wants open source here, when in essence, like, our governments and our big institutions are in bed with big pharma. So I mean, what you're hearing from me here is exasperation, a little bit of frustration, but at the same time, the recognition that there is a path, that there is a thing, a way out, things that we can do, that how we can start clawing back some of our independence, some of our sovereignty, how we can, like, you know, divest from a consumerist world and remember who we are. Remember that, like, you know, that there are so many things that we can do to not only empower ourselves, but empower our local communities. Maximizing yield is the mantra of our monoculture currently, but we can break out of our global goose step and change our songs to choruses of health and healing. These are my thoughts on this. As I said, like, you know, this is a little bit of a punchier one from me than I've been doing in previous weeks, but I think this is very much going to be the direction in which I start to move now. As I said, like, you know, there was very much a process of finding my feet with these conversations, and everything that I have said has been in earnest and has been in candor. It has been real, and I have kind of shared those frustrations, but I think now what I'm recognizing as I see other things happening all around me is the onus is on us to, like, take that, you know, the proverbial, we have to take action. We have to step up, us, like, individually, in our families, in our communities, things that we see that we don't like. The only people who are going to change that is us. No one's going to change things for you to make your life better. Look around you. Look in this world around you. Things aren't changing for the better. Ultimately, people would say, but Joel, you're you know, this is a very narrow view. The world has, like, less war, less this, less. And again, I think I'll just go back to my point. It's because we are goose stepping into an imperial monoculture, and that is the reason why it feels like things are less, or that there is less warfare, or there is less consternation, or there is less controversy or confrontation. Like, in a way, those things can be good things when they are about diversity. What is actually happening is, as we all become homogenized, it's sure, like, you know, at face value, it's like, oh, like, you know, there's less violence, there's less this, but there's also less individuality. And as nature has shown us time and time again, nature abhors a monoculture. Monocultures don't exist in nature. Things have to be diverse. There has to be push and pull. There has to be a range in an ecosystem. Otherwise, it's not an ecosystem. It's a petri dish in a scientist's lab, which is under laboratory conditions, lest it be destroyed with even the tiniest of contamination. And that's, in essence, the direction that we're heading in with, like, our reliance on big pharma and everything. So little bit of a rant, a little bit of like, but hopefully, like, I will be able to look back and watch this and go, Joel, this was a turning point. My quote this week is from famed French philosopher and thinker Montesquieu. And he says, if you only wish to be happy, this could be easily accomplished. But we wish to be happier than other people. And this is always difficult, for we always believe others to be happier than they are. And I think that quote quite aptly sums up also a large part of what I am trying to say here, that this keeping up with the Joneses mentality, like, which is what spurs economic growth over. We have to be not looking to keep up with the Joneses. We have to be keeping up with the fungi. We have to be keeping up with like the natural world, because that is the only place that we should be looking. We should be looking for an economic plateau, but ecological growth. We should be looking for environmental growth, because without that, this economic growth model is going to end anyway. So yeah, for me and Violet, I think that is our piece for this week. And again, I mean, it is late, but so many frustrations, so many things have just been knocking on the door. But this, what I'm saying here, this right here, this is where I'm at. And hopefully this is going to be the beginning of a new conversation with new people getting involved. And we will get that land. We will claim back our sovereignty. And we will change the world for ourselves and our children. Thank you again for tuning in. And I really look forward to hearing from you. And I really look forward to watching this back myself. This marks the spot.